The Boys is my favorite show on television right now, and I just wanted to make this video and just talk about some reasons why I love the show. My name is Sam. Welcome back to Samurai Films, my YouTube channel. Today, I'm talking about The Boys in some form or fashion. What the show is based off of is right here. Comic book. I started to read the comics after I watched the show because I'm a fake fan, but I think that the show does a great job at adapting the comics. Just from what I've read, the little bit that I've read so far, I know I've listened to the Comics Explained video. It's like 6 hours almost, explaining the whole comic storyline. It takes its liberties at adapting it, but I think that it's very effective at it. So right off the bat, I think it's a great adaptation. But I was also really interested in watching it after I learned that it was Eric Kripke behind it, developing it and being the showrunner. I think I was surprised because he did a fantastic job here. It's really good adaptation of a comic books, and just a round of applause for everybody who worked on Supernatural, because they are killing it with certain properties such as Doom Patrol. After I found out Kripke was behind it and learned that Jensen Ackles was rumored to be taking on a role, yeah, I got behind it and started watching it and got hooked immediately. What do I love about it? The story. The story centers mostly around Billy Butcher and his vendetta against the superhero megacorporation Vought, but mainly just Homelander, who did some bad things to his wife, some really bad things to his wife, and he just wants revenge. So Butcher eventually will go and round up people who are also affected by Supes and have vendettas against them. We come to know them as the Boys. Huey, Frenchie, Mother's Milk, MM, and eventually they find Kimiko, who joins. And then we have Vought, which is in chaos because of Homelander, and the Seven, because they keep on getting into controversies because they're basically celebrities. The Seven consists of Homelander, Maeve, Black Noir, Deep, A-Train, Translucent, and then the newcomer, Starlight, who is Annie. Her connection to the Boys is through Huey. They have a relationship on the side while Huey's working with Billy and Starlight's trying to be part of the Seven. It's actually a pretty well-written sort of drama within itself there. So yeah, that's really great. So yeah, the first season is like an origin story for getting the Boys together. Each character being recruited episode by episode. Huey, we actually see Huey's spark for wanting to join the Boys. MM and Frenchie we learn about later on in later seasons, more about how they started to help Billy fight against Vought. The show starts off with the Seven saving the day in a way, and then immediately Huey's girlfriend Robin gets run through by A-Train and pretty much gets no consequences against it. That's why Huey joins Butcher eventually. But yeah, we're immediately shown how brutal the show is. The world that The Boys is set in is done so good. Amazon makes the show, so obviously it has a good budget, and the budget gets better and better, I think, for this show now. They use all kinds of media to show how integrated the Supes are into the world. They have their celebrities. The Supes are constantly in movies, on food brands, appliances, interviews, television shows, Broadway shows. It's the way that they're being portrayed in the MCU now. I'm surprised that it's done so well right off the bat. Like, it took the MCU kind of years to build it up and like be able to do what they do now. And The Boys just right off the bat is just like, it feels real, and it just hammers in and intensifies it. It's so much more compelling to watch, I think. The show uses it all the time, and it can be either really funny or it could be really fucked up and really real. Like, wow, they actually, oh, okay. I'm actually kind of impressed that a show can make me cringe anytime something even remotely sexual starts to happen. Let's talk about The Boys. Huey, I already talked about, like I said I was gonna wait till now, but I already talked about him. But Huey is such a nice guy, and he tries to be a nice guy throughout the show. It's rough to see him have to do bad things, but also, if you're like me and you're eating this up, you're like cheering when Huey finally stands up and like does some damage, and like he's such a great character for the audience member to be introduced with into this whole world and how this world functions, because Frenchie, I love Frenchie. He is just a cool guy. If he's your friend, I would be so scared of if I was his enemy, because Frenchie knows how to do some shit. Kimiko is such a sweet girl and so scary sometimes, but she's struggling with wanting to use her powers and try to using them for good, and not wanting them at all and wanting to get rid of them. And then we have MM. I have never wanted a character to have a more happy ending than MM deserves, because watching him struggle with his family and his anger and trying to keep up with all that and wanting to do the right thing and having to control himself sucks to see. Like, everybody's in shitty situations, but MM is such a nice dad and he's such a nice guy. Butcher's so good. Just the way that the character is played, it's so damn well, and Billy is not to be fucked with. I mean, he's smart, calculated, he's usually a few steps ahead at certain points. So he also is not a very good guy. I mean, that's obvious. He's not a very good guy. Not a lot of the people in the show are doing good things, and that's what I think the show does very well on both sides, because on the other side we have the Supes, and I'm only gonna talk about a few. Maeve starts off as one cold bitch, but there is a but. She starts to step up. When she does, it's some cheer-worthy stuff, I would say. She's a great character to watch in the show. A-Train and Deep, characters that do horrible stuff and then have to deal with the consequences. It's great that the show does that. The Deep's getting pretty much canceled, and then we have A-Train, who is trying to keep his spot in the 7, but as time goes on, he, has hard stuff to deal with, like, because he runs all the time. But it's like they constantly do stuff that, like, makes you hate them, but it's what the show does well. Black Noir is such a fucking funny character. Sometimes I can't help it. The physical acting is absolutely hilarious because Noir doesn't speak. But Homelander performance is insane. Like, Homelander has a presence in this show like no other. I don't know how he'll react to things, and most of the time it ends up being something crazy, terrible. Even worse, we're shown what he's holding back in the moment when he wants to just snap. Thanos' snap is scary. I'm scared of Homelander's snap, and he's one of the best villains I've seen portrayed when it comes to comic book villains. It's incredible. The last thing that I'm going to say about The Boys is that it keeps getting better season by season. In season 1 we have the boys who are just trying to, get together and figure things out and how to hurt the Supes and expose them and work against them and use whatever they can to their advantage. And then season 2 just revolves around everybody's relationships after the events of season 1 goes down, and Homelander slowly starts to lose his mind almost pretty much as we're watching him interact with a new member of the 7, Stormfront, who is just the worst influence in the world that Homelander could have. But he sees that, but through that he starts to see he just gets the approval of people for just him being a superhero. That is something that sets him onto a spiral that will eventually lead to him snapping. But it's great. It's great the way that it's told and presented. And then we have every other person's relationship is struggling also. Huey and Annie, Becca and Butcher, Homelander and his son, Frenchie and Kimiko, MM and his daughter, It's like everybody's like going through so much stuff, and it eventually leads to the boys pretty much breaking up by the end, after, you know, their big plan fails. And then in season 3, you know, we have them all getting back together eventually, because Huey realizes that they can't fight Soups the clean way when he finds out that the head popper is pretty much working not with Vought but on the other side. So he goes back to Butcher. Frenchie and Kamiko, they would just want to help finish the fight with Butcher so they can leave and move on. MM, who just can't control like his anger to the point where it affects his life, goes back to Butcher. Also in the season, Butcher gets his hands on some Temp V, and it gives them temporary superpowers to play around with in this season. It's just great. Jensen Ackles comes in as Soldier Boy, and he didn't disappoint me at all. He's great, and I can't wait for season 4. I'm just rambling at this point, I feel like. I think that's what this whole video has been. I tried to make it cohesive, but God, I just could not. I'm sorry. But what do you think about The Boys if you've seen it? I usually hear nothing but good things. I'd love to hear reasons why you might not like it. You know, maybe, you know, I don't know. But yeah, if you have anything that you want to say about The Boys, go ahead and leave it down in the comment section. I will do my best to try to reply to them, like, through the comment section. I'm not good at doing YouTube videos, but if you did enjoy the video, thank you for watching. If you would like to like the video, feel free. And if you want to subscribe, go ahead. That's pretty cool too.